Welcome everyone to our GPPA Zoom, open to all photographers, and we will be posting this recording for people to see. So they can be educated about print competition or photo competition. You know, we call it all different things: photo competition, print competition, image competition. But historically it was called print competition. So a lot of people will say print comp, but we're very excited you're here. And I will tell you that I don't know all the things, so I'm glad that we've got some veterans to competing here so they can answer questions.
I don't know anything.
So let's get started. First of all, who would like to, if I can ask one of you to explain kind of the actually, Sherry, you know what you were saying and before our meeting started, can you talk a little bit about like competing with yourself? Say that thing again, that'd be great for the recording.
Yes, I've known about the print competition for so many years, but always held off because I didn't feel like I was a very competitive type. I didn't want to compete against other people exactly, or didn't feel like I needed to. But when I went to Imaging USA for the first time, a mentor said that, you know, it's really not about that. It's about competing against yourself, making yourself better, getting the other professional eye on your images, to challenge yourself to do more, see more in your image, to be better.
Very cool. Does anyone want to kind of speak to that idea?
And I agree with what Sherry says. It's very true, is that, you know, you're putting yourself out there to better yourself. And when you do that, it works better.
Anyone else? Michael, Martha, TP, you want to chime in? We'll make this more of a discussion.
Well, this is Karen talking for the benefit of Sherry, because I know if you're on the phone, you can't see us. Or am I wrong? Can you see us?
No,
Yeah,
I can't see anyone.
Okay. I entered one time, and it was interesting. All of my photos got in the high 70s, like 78, 79. And then I found out it was just like a score, and like, so what's that mean? I didn't get any feedback. But for an extra $10 per image, I paid somebody, one of the judges, to review it and send me a critique on it. And that was highly valuable. I haven't done it since, but I learned so much from that I don't have any pictures worthy of. I mean, I want to enter what I think would merit, so that then I can see, well, if this didn't merit, then what did I need to do? Instead, I'm looking at my work, I'm thinking, well, if I hadn't had those dead leaves in there, I would enter this, you know, or if I had had this just a little bit more in this way, I would have entered it. So it's teaching me to critique my own work.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Javon.
Hi, Javon. I'm glad you're here. Javon is our photo competition chairperson, and he's an awesome competitor too. So we're really glad to have you here. I got the discussion started with Sherry is a new member and she wants to do a competition for the first time. So she's going to be our surrogate for a new, whoever on here hasn't competed before. But she said, like, she made some good comments about why it's valuable and kind of like competing with yourself as opposed to just trying to win, trying to be better than you were before. And then Karen talked a little bit about paying for a critique through the Georgia competition, and it's only $10 an image, correct?
Yeah.
And you can have one of the judges do a critique. Now, this year, what we're doing is we're doing it where you're going to be able to meet in a virtual room with the judge to critique the image. And that's going to be super, super valuable. Just a second. I've got a very hungry dog who's making a lot of noise here. Javon, can I have you talk a little bit about how the Georgia competition fits in with the PPA competitions throughout the year?
Was that my cue?
Yeah, can you talk
sorry.
just a little about the structure of competitions in PPA?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I apologize, guys. I'm on my phone. So I don't know however many people. I say we got 7. So that's probably 7, including me. Anyway, hi everybody. Happy Thursday. So how the evolution of annual competition starts, for all intents and purposes, it starts at the state level, and you progress from, well, you can, it's just depending on if you choose to. Now, ideally, I would say you start at the state level, then progress to districts, which is what just ended say in May. Now districts, people enter the images just like they would at IPC, and they're judged just like they would be at IPC. And then you're broken down into your districts to decide who wins certain awards. Now, it's not like it used to be, but they still do that. Now, if you quote unquote merit or at IPC or at district competition, you actually don't really merit. Now, I noticed that during the competition judging, and I don't know if any of you actually watched it. Actually, I may be getting ahead of myself. Okay, so let's go back. So first state, then districts, then IPC, and IPC kind of finishes out the year. Now, every state affiliate has different ideas of when they think it's best to do their affiliate competition. Personally, I've been entering, and you can enter states that you're not actually a member of. For instance, we have members that enter our state competition, but then we also have people from around the nation that will enter our competition just to get feedback on their images before they submit them onto IPC. And the reason I don't say district there is because we chose to have our competition right before the deadline to IPC to get those last minute critiques, last minute feedback before you finally hit the submit button for IPC. Now, I've been personally entering some competitions this year for state affiliates since January, well, maybe February. Various state organizations. Now, I can't really win awards at these things, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the feedback, the critiques. And that way, with those, and here's the thing, everybody that looks at your image is going to have something different to say about it. And that's just part of the game, you know, and not everybody is going to bring up the same issues with your print, or though they might, but everybody has a different feeling on how your image is and how it should score. But jurors that are trained should have a collective opinion that is close to what everybody else has. It doesn't always happen that way, but it should, so that you can get an idea. Hold on, I may be getting off track. Okay, sorry, I thought I was getting logged out.
It's
Can you
okay.
guys
I'm
hear me?
just going to show a couple images of things so that you can kind of see where these things live. So IPC, the International Photographic Competition from PPA, lives here. These are some of, you can look at a gallery of the images. But as Javon's talking, I'll just kind of put some things up about what he's talking about.
Okay, so the reason to enter state competitions that actually aren't your own affiliate would be getting feedback so that you can fine tune these images so that you know what the majority of people are saying about your pictures. So I did that. I submitted a few of my images. Some of them merited right away with those certain state affiliates, and some of them didn't merit at all. And so I took the feedback. I would adjust the images, submit them to another competition, another state affiliate, and see what they had to say about it and whether the score went up or the score went down. So I am not in any way an expert at competition. However, I think doing it this way allows me to be better prepared for districts. And this year at districts, of course, historically, I've bombed districts every single year I have ever tried to compete. I have never sealed anything, but this year with doing the state competitions the way I did them and then entering districts, I actually sealed half of my case. And so now I only have 2 images to worry about versus all 4. So that's a huge success for me.
That's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to seal?
Yeah, actually, that's where I was going next. All right.
Okay.
So at districts, if any of you guys have actually watched district judging, you'll notice that when the image comes up, it either says seal or it says merit or no merit. And at districts, unfortunately, they're doing the thumbs up, thumbs down. They used to do scores, and that has been replaced by thumbs up, thumbs down. We'll get into this in a minute, but not right now. So if you get 5 judges and at least three of those judges give you the thumbs up, that means that you get a merit according to the scoring. But what it really means is that your image has sealed. Now, what that means is at the district level, you can't actually earn a merit. You earn your image the right to be sealed. Now, sealed, what that means is that when you go to register for competition at IPC in July, if you just send in your image, and the way IPC has it set up is it's automatically going to take the images that's sealed and move them over into your registration. If you don't, what they call break the seal, if you just let those ride, they will automatically merit at IPC. And then you will get your merit. You don't get the merit at districts, you get it at IPC. Now, if you can, now some photographers will do this. And the only reason I would tell you to do this is if you already have your master photography degree. Some photographers do what they call breaking the seal. It means they think that they've got a really good chance by retouching the image even further to get an imaging excellence, which used to be called the Lone collection. And so they will actually not carry over the print that's sealed at districts. They will retouch it and submit it again and run that risk of whether it actually merits or not. Again, sorry, somebody was texting me. Wanted to make sure it wasn't y'all. So that's breaking the seal. Now, I don't have my master photography degree. I'm at this point, if I let those 2 seals ride, I'm 2 merits away. But based on the critiques I got back at district, I was very tempted to break my seals, but I'm not going to do it. I don't want to push my luck. So if you sealed an image at district, I really encourage you guys to let it ride and make sure that when you register, you don't break the seal. You just let it go ahead and go through and get your merit. Let's see. Okay.
So we have a couple new people who have popped in here and want to thank. Oh, I saw Jennifer, but maybe she lost her connection, but Rachel Charles is here, and then someone else on the phone.
Yes,
don't-
I got disconnected.
Okay,
It's
Sherry. Okay, good. All right. That's great. So I want to thank the new folks for coming in here. Do we have any questions to what Javon has covered so far, or comments? I
Hey,
know we have.
Marche, can you keep a track on the questions? Because with me being
Sure.
on my phone, all I see is the videos.
Oh, that's fine. Michael had said, Michael, are you still here? Yeah.
Still here. I did
You-
receive the first seal, but I think that I did order a set of critiques, but I wouldn't mind entering in some for the Georgia for critiques too, maybe. Some new ones.
Mhm.
Well, and Michael, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is exactly why we time our competition as we did, because we're trying to give our membership, trying to get anyone that has that chance, that last minute chance to get a last minute critique before they hit submit for IPC. Our competition's July 15th. Competition for IPC opens in July. And this is a last chance to get those critiques in. But it also gives you a chance to earn merits through our state affiliate, our GPPA. And you can earn merits through GPPA to get your fellowship degree, which is kind
Through
of like
our
the
organization.
photographer degree.
Yep.
Through our association, yes.
Through our association. It's not the same thing as a PPA degree.
No.
But it's extra bling.
Oh, and keep this in mind, because people ask us every year that if you enter an image into our state competition, it does not give you a merit for PPA, only through our GPPA.
All right. Oh, and I want.
If
Oh, go ahead,
you
Tara.
have merited with an image in IPC, you can still enter that image in GPPA's print competition.
Is that a question? I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if that was a
That's-
question or a statement.
I think it was a comment.
It's a comment.
Okay, yes,
I
that is
was under
absolutely correct.
I was originally under the impression that just like in the IPC, once an image merits, you don't enter it in anything else. But I found out that even an IPC merited image, even an image of excellence, can be entered in the state competition also.
Yeah, and what really bakes your noodle is when you have an image that merited at IPC and then bombs at state. 'Cause that has happened to me before.
Am I correct in thinking that the images that you submit need to be, someone hired you, a client hired you and paid you for those images?
No, that
No.
is not
Yeah.
correct. It just has to be an image that you've created. And there are some stipulations. For instance, it cannot be created in a class being taught by another photographer. But as long as you create it, whether it is for a personal project or something you're doing deliberately for competition or a client image, you are absolutely eligible to enter that image into competition.
Wait a minute. If a instructor uses an image for a class, can that instructor use the image for?
Michael, I'm sorry, you kind of broke up on me, buddy.
If an instructor uses an image for a class, they created that image. Are they allowed to use that image for competition?
The instructor is yes, but not the students.
Okay, so you can't. Oh.
Yeah, because the instructor is the one creating the original
Exactly,
work
yeah.
and setting it up. But let's say you're at, like, for example, PhotoWorks or another affiliate school, and your instructor sets up a whole set, brings in a model, sets up the lights. I mean, you didn't really create any image you get from that. You're learning.
Yeah.
So
But
those aren't eligible.
Also along those lines, you don't want to show your images around that you intend to put into print competition. If a judge is in a room judging your image and they look and they say, oh, you know what? I saw TP post that image in a lot of different places. I'm going to have to disqualify myself from judging that image. And you don't want that to happen.
So maybe just don't post as, that.
If you have an idea that you're going to use an image for competition, as soon as you have that idea that you might use that image, quit posting it anywhere.
Yeah.
Because and TP's right, that happens, and it sucks because it could have been a judge that would have given you the thumbs up.
Right.
And now you've only got 4 judges, and 2 judges didn't like it, and 2 judges loved it, but there's no deciding vote. Or worst case scenario, multiple judges have seen it.
And they have to disqualify themselves if they know that you
they're
created.
supposed to disqualify themselves. I have seen it happen. But I mean, part of that, you figured part of the 12 elements of an image is impact. And the impact comes that first time that they see an image. And so, and this is actually, TP, I'm glad you brought this up, because that is actually one of the reasons, like if I submit an image to another state affiliate, I usually don't resubmit that image anywhere else until districts, because I'm worried, because these jurors, they go to different affiliates throughout the year. And I'm worried that if they see it too many times, that it's not going to have the impact when I need it to, and therefore won't score as well.
How about posting on Instagram? I guess we shouldn't do that either. Or?
Nope. No, as long as if it's anywhere that a juror can see it, it's not a good idea.
What if you don't post still life images, but then you only deny competition, but then you post model images, and you just only, so that's not okay.
Well, what you're trying to do, that's a really good question. What you're trying to do is make sure that if your friends or you have followers that are potential IPC judges or judges that'll be in any competition that you'll enter, that they don't say, oh, I know whose image that is. Michael posted it a week ago or a month ago. I recognize it, and therefore I can't judge it because I'm biased, and they disqualify themselves from judging you.
That's not right though, but then how should we?
So
Well,
usually people just save their images to post until after they've competed.
There's actually an image that I've worked on, I haven't shown anyone, that's in the various levels of competition at this point. It's already gone through districts, and now here's the thing, it's sealed at districts, but that doesn't mean that you should start posting it and telling people about it, because then it hurts your chance for loan. And I did see, Marcia and Michael, I don't mean to cut you off with that question. I hope if I didn't answer
No, that was good. No.
But I
someone
did
asked
someone ask about loan.
Yeah, what is loan called again? It's a different name now.
Yeah, loan has changed the name of what loan is. Now, loan, what it used to be in the past was they deemed these merit images the best of the best, and they gave them the title loan images, because then they would then go on a traveling exhibit around the country and different art galleries and stuff like that. Well, they don't really do that anymore. So they decided to rename it to Imaging Excellence. And so now, instead of getting a loan, you'll get an IE by the name of your title if you get a loan image. Everybody's still calling it loan. And in fact, last year when I was in the hospital and I was watching the competition, they still came up and still titled it loan, but it's really now called Imaging Excellence.
Okay.
I feel like I'm talking really loudly, and I hope I'm not.
No,
No, you're fine. No, and I agree with what you're saying, because I've done the same thing. Is I've taken several images, and one I did when they had the critiques early in March. I submitted 4 images there. Then I submitted them to a couple of different states. And one out of the 4 has done really well. and that's actually one that's gotten sealed for IPC. So now I got to go back and figure out what to do with the other 3, so I have a full case.
But
Did you get the critiques at districts?
Yes, I got the critique at district, so I'm going to go watch those and figure out what I need to do.
So last year, I got critiques at districts, and I was watching them with my son, and he's like, God, they're picky.
Mm-hmm.
And they are. And they are picky, but I will be honest with you guys, competition has made me a better photographer because of them being picky. And now I'm picky with my images. I look back on some work I submitted back in, oh my gosh, maybe 2018, 2017. And I'm like, oh my God, why would I have ever submitted that? And I thought it was great back then, but now I'm like, oh my Lord. Yeah, it's like, that was definitely a 70, whatever. But it's good. And you gotta get a tough skin, and know that these photographers that are giving you the critiques are doing it because they're trying to help you become a better photographer. They're not doing it to make you feel belittled or stupid or anything. Their job, as I posted on Facebook not too long ago, they're not doing it for the money. Yeah, these guys get paid for this, but they don't get paid that much. I know, because I write them their checks. So I know what they're asking for, and they're not asking for much. And in fact, some of these judges, when they're getting their critiques for some of these state affiliates, they're only making a few dollars to do that. They're doing it because they're trying to help us all become better photographers.
Devon, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because of where you are artistically now and your skill and your knowledge, when you're picking an image to submit, is it one that you already feel like this should merit? Or do you know that it won't, and you know what needs to happen to it?
I'll be honest with you. I never look at it like this one should merit. Sometimes it's like a gut feeling that I have when I'm creating the image, or if I'm planning an image in my mood board, and I'm like, you know what, I could probably, if this works out the way I think it should, and it comes out the way I see it in my head, I think this would be a really good one for competition. However, that idea going into competition of, I think this one's going to merit, usually ends to tears and disaster. It's I can't tell you. I've had so many images that I thought would merit and they didn't. And the worst part is when you're closer to an image emotionally and to see it not merit and then wonder why you're even doing this. I really think that the more that I have watched competition, listened to what they're saying about pictures that aren't even mine, listening to the critiques about my own work, being honest with myself has made me realize when an image has a shot at competition or not. Doesn't always mean it's going to work out. Last year I went 4 for 4. The year before that, I got 1. And I spent a lot of time the last couple of years educating myself on image competition and listening to other photographers. In fact, what I do, one of the other things I do is I reach out to other photographers that already had their masters. And I said, would you mind taking a look at my images and seeing where I can do better? And then they would either email me sometimes or call me, and they would talk me through the image. And they were saying, I think you got close on this one, but I don't think it's going to go through. And this is why. Or, hey, I think you got a really good shot on this one, but I might, change up the map And we haven't talked about that yet. And I don't know if we talked about that before I got on, but that presentation needs to be talked about at some point. So to
Yeah.
answer the question, yeah, I look at images now a little differently than I looked at them before. I look at them now, but honestly, I sometimes see these things before I've actually shot them. And in my mind, I'm thinking this is going to be a competition image. Sometimes it's just a matter of I'm looking through some pictures. I'm like, oh, wow, I really like this one a lot. I wonder what I could do with this. I hope that answers the question.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Thanks. Because before you got on and several others, I had said that after entering it the first time and then watching critiques of other photographers, it's like, I'm having a hard time finding something I feel like is even close to being admissible or submittable. Because I can pick apart my own work now. I know what I need to do.
I have one image that I submitted 3 times. 3 years in a row, I submitted the image. And I didn't get close the first time. I mean, not even close. The second time I got a 79, slap in the face. But the third time I entered the image and listened to the critiques, it re-edited the image, and I got a lone image with that one on the third try.
TP, I think that's interesting. I had 2 images last year that I'd been entering for 2 years. And I was telling people, I said, one of them was a picture of my son, and one was a picture of a firefighter that I had photographed during lockdown. And people were telling me, one, I was crazy for entering a picture of my own child because it does make you emotionally attached to the image and you don't see the flaws. Now, it did okay at state, but bombed at districts and bombed at PPA the first time. I listened to all the critiques, made the changes, started submitting it over again. And I believed in that image so much that it took me 2 times at PPA to enter it before it actually merited. And the fireman actually went lone last year. So you and I have a very similar story.
Yeah.
I believed in that image so much that I listened to anything anyone would tell me about that picture, and I would make these subtle changes, and they were subtle. I mean, if anybody is ever interested, I can show you the difference in the before and the final finished image that went lone, and it's subtle stuff.
Yeah,
But that's
we'd
what the
love to
judges are
see
looking
that.
for.
That would be really interesting to see.
I'd like to see it. Yes.
All right, Javon,
All right,
you
I'll
have
try and pull that up tomorrow then.
you have a homework assignment.
Yeah.
So I have another question on the order of things, because I've heard state, district, IPC, and PPA.
The
Is there a
PPA is
hierarchy to this?
okay, so state is just our state. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Districts used to be when I don't know how many of you remember, but we used to have SEPA, and these images would be judged as SEPA because it would be our Southeast region. These were called our district competitions. Well, when a lot of these affiliate districts dissolved, PPA said, we're still going to do districts, but we'll do a competition like in May, and we'll call it districts. And anybody that seals, then we'll get together and look at just that region and decide who wins awards or if they don't. But then, like, again, those images will seal or not seal for IPC. Now, I say PPA and IPC interchangeably because it's the same thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
IPC is the end of everything. Once IPC hits and you merit or no merit, that's the end of competition season for the most part, and it's all gearing up to start again the next year.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Hey, I have a question. Let's say you have an image and it merits at IPC, but you've never entered it into state. Can you still enter it into the GPPA competition?
Yes. Yeah, whether it merits or doesn't merit at IPC has no basis on what you can submit to competition at state.
And also, can you talk about how you don't need to necessarily compete in districts to submit it to IPC?
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
You can skip districts if you want to just take your chances and roll the dice and submit to IPC. The benefit to districts is you might actually get a couple images out of the way and only have to focus on a couple more, one more, two more. Or if you're really lucky, you might seal all four and not have to worry about anything but the judging for the imaging of excellence. Now,
Yeah, I
because
did
I'm
not,
such
I
a
did-
habitual a bomber pilot, like all of my images used to bomb at districts. Basically, I was just taking my chances at IPC.
yeah, I did not make the district competition this year. My underwater enclosure for my camera is being worked on, and I didn't have images that I wanted for district, so I don't know if I'll be able to interstate. It's
What
gonna
happened to
be,
your
it's gonna
underwater
be
house?
close. It flooded in October.
Oh, no.
Oh. What about
I
the camera?
lost, no, total loss. Nikon D850, total loss.
Mhm.
PPA insurance covered it. But I've been just having problems with the enclosure ever since. And in fact, Icolite has it right now. Hopefully they'll send it back in another couple of days. But salt water,
Can you not rent an underwater housing if you needed it?
I could. It's expensive.
Hey, I want to
Plus-
also pause really quick before we keep going. I want to welcome people who have joined us, Armitris, Yeti, and Peggy, and Monica has been in and out, I think, because we had some internet connectivity.
What's going on
going
here?
on. Okay,
And Mark,
sorry. Sorry, I've got a little comedian in my house who wants to get attention.
Hello, Peter.
The cost on these, the cost differences in district and state and PPA.
Yeah, can you go over Javon, go over what our costs are, and I'll put printcompetition.com up.
Okay, so we'll start with the state affiliate, which is our association, GPPA. It works a little different than districts and IPC. All right, so I'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. At our state level, we can enter a case of up to 8 images. Now, that 8 images is for our membership. It's $65 right now. It's $75 for non-members. Now that will change as we get into July. That price is going to go up $5 and it's going to be $70 for members and $80 for non-members. I had to think about that. Now the case is at, and I'm going to go back and forth with this, so try and follow me if you can. The cases for district and IPC are only 4 images, and they're based on the category. So portrait open, master artist, reportage or not reportage, wedding category. We don't do that with ours. It's 8 images, and you tell us whether they're a wedding image or a portrait open or an artist. You just let us know, but you get 8 images that you can submit for $65. We feel that that is tremendously affordable. We try and make it that way because one, we want to make sure that everybody has enter and get feedback for their images. Now at IPC or districts, I believe the early bird discount is $99. And if you submit after the early bird deadline, I think it goes to $129. And if you add critiques, I could be wrong about this. I think it's $49 at IPC. If you get critiques for us, we do it $10 an image. And you can sign up with me, and we will assign you a time with a juror that you can then be one-on-one with. We're doing it a little different this year. Before, we would just have them record the critique and send it back to you. This time, you actually get to be one-on-one with the juror, and you can ask them questions if you want to. You've got a 10-minute block that you have with each juror for each image. But it is $10 a critique per image.
And the district has 49 per image or
It's $49 for the case.
for the
So-
case?
I thought it was
Or-
35, unless they raise the prices.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was 35 for IPC of the case, unless they raise the prices.
They, you know what? They may have a different price on there for some reason. I'm seeing 49 in my mind.
And also, is June 15th the latest, the last date for the early?
No, I think it starts in July.
I mean,
Are you talking about for state or for IPC?
I'm talking about for the GPPA state.
Yeah, the early bird ends in July.
Oh,
Early registration for IPC is from July 5th to August 11th.
So the early bird for state for GPPA is June to July, and then you have late registration is July to July 12th.
oh, okay.
It's kind of a gray area when you say it's in July.
Well, by July, I mean like the 1st of July.
July 1.
Through this month.
July 1 through July 12th is your late registration.
Okay.
So I'm going by what the website says. Early registration ends 11/59, June 15th.
Hmm.
The Georgia,
No.
For state,
for the Georgia affiliate.
yeah, for state.
I don't,
I
I'll
don't
have to
believe
look
so.
at
Let, Michael, if you can put in the chat where that is, I'll see. It might be something that needs to be fixed, but this is what it is on printcompetition.com.
This is on the GPPA site.
Is this where
Okay,
you
that can be
register?
fixed. Yep, this is where you go, printcompetition.com. So here's the deadline.
Oh, so the deadline, wait a minute.
So
The
the
deadline
actual
is July
competition is
12th.
the 15th and the deadline's the 12th.
Okay. Before anybody loses their mind, there is not a way for me to specify necessarily early bird, late registration on the printcompetition.com website. So in July, I'm gonna go change it and it's gonna go up $5.
Okay.
I definitely want to enter in images, but yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about presentation.
Well, I was gonna ask, does anyone type questions or ask any questions before we get in and off topic of what we were just talking about?
Hey, Marcia, I posted a link where I found what I,
Thanks. I'll go ahead and make sure it gets updated.
oh, okay, good, yeah.
That's a typo. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. All right. Well, I wanted to know, like, the little teaser I put in the email for this is, why does everyone say I hate my case? What is that about?
Okay, so, well,
It's a little
Keith's been
joke.
doing this a lot longer than I have. Maybe he's got a better explanation, but
It's
the way I look at it is like, have you ever been in drama and you heard somebody say break a leg?
same
Mhm.
thing.
It's the same thing. The break a leg, obviously no one wants you to break a leg, but the tradition has been, once you hit submit, you publicly announce, I hate my case. You don't really hate your case. Most people, well, I mean, they might. But it's a tradition and a kind of like a good luck thing.
All right, we got about 10 minutes. Let's talk about maybe how you submit your image and how you should uh, do the presentation, because that's something different than entering any other competition usually.
Yeah, so when it comes to image competition, whether it's state, district, or IPC, presentation is one of those 12 elements. And presentation doesn't just necessarily involve like how the image looks, it involves on how you're actually presenting it to the juror panel. Now, if you just submit an image, they'll tear it apart. Like if you submit an image and there's no borders, no frames, a lot of times that they just figure like you're not taking the time to put your best foot forward and you're not going to score as well. Now you've seen the images where, and Marcia, can you maybe pull something
Yeah,
up so people
I will,
can
just a
see?
second.
Because I think obviously without the visual, but like I always take my images and what I do is I'll go into Photoshop and I typically start with a 16 by 20 blank canvas. I drop my image on the canvas and then I start playing with the colors. And usually you don't want the presentation, you want it to be subtle. You don't want it to take away any attention from the image itself, because the idea of the presentation in the image is that it's supposed to draw your attention to what you want the viewer to see, which is usually the face of a portrait, the face of an animal, or just basic, like with this picture, if you're looking at it, there is nothing on the presentation, which is what's outside that little yellow box, that would draw your attention away from this pet. And everything is designed to draw your attention in. Although on my screen it looks like there's some haloing, but I'm not gonna get into that. So anyway, it's very subtle. It's usually what I do is I'll find a color in the image that is darker than the rest of the picture, and I will use that, like this maker did for this image. They used a darker shade of blue that helps draw your attention into the picture and not take it out. Usually a lighter color will distract your eye and therefore make it to where the viewer or the juror has a hard time staying within the four walls of your image. But it is always a good idea to, if you'll pick my orange, this one's mine. So this was very simple. I just, like I did, I stuck her on the mat. I just did a fill color. I picked a shade of orange from the background, made it sure it didn't distract from her, and there's my presentation. Now, I have noticed this year, I'm getting a lot of comments from other judges, how they like having the mat even on all sides. I haven't always done this in the past, but I've tried to start doing it now because it seems to be what they're liking. Does that make sense to you guys?
There was a while where it was very popular to have the image way off center on the map, and they don't like to see that anymore. They're tired of it. And
Yeah.
that's what happens. You get the same image basically over and over and over. The judges get tired of what you're seeing, and they don't score it as well.
Yeah, I mean, and TP is absolutely right. I mean, if you see an image, and let's say you're looking at an image of last year's images and one scored low, and you're like, you know what, I can do that too. The problem is the jurors have already seen it, and now because that one person did it last year, there's going to be 50 images like it this year.
Yeah,
and they get tired of it really quickly. And that's another one of mine. See, again, just a very basic mat. So try and keep it simple. It's the whole keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. Don't go crazy. I've put textures on my mats before, and it seems like every time I've done it, it gets called out and like, oh, this texture is distracting. So I've just started using simple mats. Now, this comes from back before digital. People would actually use mats to map the images they were sending in for competition. I've actually seen it. I was at the very last SEPA convention competition and actually saw an image that someone submitted that was matted. This is back when we used to do prints, but now digital, it's all digital mats.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the width of the stroke around it?
Okay, so you don't want to have a stroke that's too broad because it will be distracting. So I typically, for me, I keep the strokes relatively thin. That is usually anywhere from 5 to 10 pixels for me. That's just me. Now, what the stroke is, if you guys aren't familiar with what the stroke is, maybe we can pull an image up that we can see the stroke and maybe that dog again. All right, so there is the image of the dog. There is a light yellow line that forms the rectangle around the dog. And then there's the mat itself, which is a darker yellow. The light yellow line is what's called the stroke. And you don't want it too big. You don't want it too small, so it's hard to see it. And you also don't want it to be some bizarre color. You want it within the color scheme of the image itself. Usually it is a lighter color than the mat that you're using to frame your image, but not so light that it draws attention away from the picture itself. It's a fine tuning thing. Very much so.
There's 100 different ways to make strokes.
Oh my God, yeah.
And my question was, do you put that stroke onto the photo and then the way you were doing the mats, you put the photo onto the mat, so it already has the stroke before you put it on the mat?
Well, okay, so what I do is, hold on, I'm trying to think of my process. A lot of times it is easier if you're working in layers. And I'm assuming everybody's familiar about working in layers because, you know, that's pretty much how almost everything is done in Photoshop now. It is easier in working in layers. You double click whatever layer it is that the image is there, and you can actually select stroke, and then you can define the color and the pixel size. And that's usually how I am creating my strokes in my competition images. Now, you have to be careful because depending on what layer you pick, you could accidentally create 2 strokes, and you don't want to do that. You only want that one on the inside.
What we might do, we're going to do this again in a couple weeks, right, Javon?
We can.
Yeah, and we should do a demo of it.
There's a lot to go over.
That would, it would be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let TP do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and then Monica commented. Oh, sorry.
I'll do it for my studio.
The
Awesome.
judges detest rounded corner strokes.
Yeah.
That will kill you on a merit. They want perfectly straight, pointed strokes.
Yeah, Monica was putting that in the comments. Thank you, Monica, too.
Oh,
Hey, we've got 1 more minute before the end of the hour. I will tell you, we will do another one of these in a couple weeks. So look for that email of that.
And guys and I don't mean to interrupt you, Marcia. Sorry, sweetie.
No, go ahead.
If you guys have questions about image competition, feel free to reach out to me. You know, it's like I'm lucky that my wife makes most of the money. And so I have a little bit of free time. but I mean, I have been asked by a few members already from our association to look over some pictures and tell me what they thought. Actually, I get asked from other associations as well. I don't know why all of a sudden I've become an expert, because there for years I was in Club 79. I was the president. I was leading it. I've got a hockey jersey to prove it. It's got 79 on the back. My favorite memory from state competition is back when we were still at Jekyll Island and Jason White was president. And we were sitting there and we were watching image competition from the registration desk. And they had just scored my last image and given it another 79. And I said, Jason, I said, it just makes me want to run in there and say, you know, you can have 79% of my ass. And but you know, here's the thing. As many times as I have bombed out of competition, as many times as I have walked away deflated, I've kept doing it. And I have kept learning and I have kept trying harder and trying not to take the comments too personally. And my work has gotten better and my scores have gotten better. And I am a much happier photographer now than I used to be. You know, it's actually fun. So don't take these initial defeats and don't look at them as defeats. They're not defeats. It's all learning. That's all we're doing. And that's why Marche said at the very beginning of this, it's not like you're competing with other photographers. You're really competing with yourself and just trying to make sure that you're doing better than you were doing the year before.
That was Sherry's comment. I'm not going to take credit.
Oh, sorry.
Sherry gets all the credit for that one.
Sorry.
Thanks, Sherry. I mentioned that she said it.
I gotta go.
Well, guys, thank you
Thank you.
so much. We'll see you in another couple weeks. Share the
Okay.
love. We will post this so people can also share this recording.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
All right. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.